video, I'll show you how I greatly improved the user research maturity of the IBM Learning Organization in my secondary role as a product or service owner. So when I became the research lead for the Your Learning product, a lot of sites in the learning ecosystem do not have a very proactive or regular user feedback input source that they could get a benchmark from, or consistent or regular user feedback data. So I knew I wanted to move us to a more modern solution, something that wasn't relying on direct surveys, something that was part of the user's experience rather than a detour from it. And a lot of products that were out there that do stuff like this, like Medallia, where you can get some really powerful functionality. And a lot of IBM was actually moving towards that product. However, the learning organization simply didn't have the budget for it at the time. I had a very strong familiarity with some other survey tools, though, like Survey Gizmo, and I was pretty sure that there had to be some way to configure and create some hybrid or adopted version of it with some custom coding and sort of intelligent process design that could extend it to do more like what we wanted it to do. The end result is we were able to create a very powerful widget that pops up for the user. And by doing this, we were able to show the business an incredibly high response rate from our users. They became very engaged and were very willing to participate. So we saw orders of magnitude more feedback coming in than we ever had before. And I started with the NPS question because it's fairly standard out there, but also because a lot of the IBM organization was moving towards this. And it's a great place to start to get a benchmark from our users. We really didn't have that benchmark in place across most of the learning sites that I was supporting. But I wanted to go beyond this as well to support our other user research needs, and adopted it so that instead of just being an NPS question, site owner or a researcher could configure it to instead use the same functionality, where we could control who was seeing it, when they were seeing it, how often, but instead of just having the NPS question, can redirect out to a particular survey, maybe focuses on a certain feature or a new change or a very targeted question that we have at the moment. So allowing us to get that in-app experience and still get a lot of data on targeted needs. There's also still a need for user-directed input and support requests and things like that, where a dynamic NPS type widget doesn't really support that as well. So extended the service to also support these custom feedback forms. And I set it up so that different sites could have different questions appear, and they could configure which ones they wanted to appear, which ones they didn't, what the style of it looked like, without actually having to go in and do anything in Survey Gizmo or any other tool or have any other knowledge at all. Really just became part of the request process. And with all these options, they also could get detailed reporting and easily see this, share this data without accessing any other tools, just to a simple URL. And I ended up creating all this documentation in terms of, like, here's, for example, the feedback form variables I was mentioning, where I decided what sort of questions we would support and we wouldn't support, because it wasn't infinitely flexible. And I had to make that decision by working with business owners to figure out what were their core needs, which things were going to be used more often than others, and what do I, from my past knowledge of user feedback surveys and such, what kind of questions work well and which ones don't. So with that, I was able to kind of configure this documentation, and this is just one piece of it. There's other aspects for NPS, but this is sort of behind the scenes. As this began to grow in popularity, it became obvious that we needed it to extend this service into more of a formal product that I could manage and support with a smaller team. So I knew we needed to create a better end experience for our clients. So I put together this website that organizes the product that we're offering, and it provides information about what is the widget, how do you use it, what's the benefit of it, what are the variables and customizations that you have, how do you get set up. So I set up all these instructions and built this whole site to help with that. And because we're getting so many requests, I had to automate a lot of this as well. So I put together a request form where the client or site owner could tell us the information that was critical to us getting their widget configured and set up quickly. So I get some of these request forms in. I would either do myself or have an administrator working under me to go add the new configuration for them and really extend out our widget to that new site. And this really grew quickly. We have over 75 different learning sites and products that are already using this. And it's even gone beyond that to include external products. And your learning product now is including it as part of the actual product that you buy as a customer. So all of our customers now are relying on this service that I created, kind of through a customization of a different product and some of our own code and this hybrid sort of solution with a fraction of the cost of normal sort of product licensing.